Hi, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Malice in the Mitten. I am your host, Tracy Preston, along with my bestie, Christine Mulligan. Hey, Christine.
Hi, Tracy. What are we going to get into today? What are you laughing at me?
You sounded awful peppy this morning.
Well, you say sometimes I'm too much of a wise ass that I sound like I don't even want to be on here. And now you're telling me that I sound too happy to be on here. You need to make up your mind. And I said that mumbled on purpose.
You did it on purpose. No, I loved it. I love the upbeat. I just love it.
All right. Well, what the hell are we getting into today?
All right, I gotta.
Horrible Malice are you going to tell me about today?
I'm gonna pull it together now. Okay.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Well, in many stories that we talk about on Malice, you're always the first one to say, hey, it's not always the men that do this. Women do these things too. And I always appreciate that you pop that in because you're right. The one that's doing the abusing or the murdering isn't always a man. And in today's story, and today's...
What is your deal today?
No. You gave me the fucking gigglies. I don't know. All right. And today's story will tell us just that. Today's story was written and researched by Rebecca Hiers. So thank you, Rebecca. So let's get into it. This is Season 8, Episode 10, Not Only Men Abuse, the death of Todd Stermer. The silence of the afternoon in the small town of Lawrence, Michigan, was shattered by the sound of sirens at 3:30 in the afternoon on Sunday, January 7th, 2007. As fire trucks rolled down a long, secluded driveway, firemen saw a home going up in smoke and flames. As they neared the house, they saw a man covered in burns, smoldering, and bleeding from multiple head wounds. He was wearing nothing but sweatpants pulled down to his ankles and boots, just laying there in the yard. A neighbor had tried to cover his charred body with his own coat. A woman was screaming near the family van, which had blood on the front bumper. It was a confusing scene straight out of a nightmare. But who were the people involved? Let's take a look at the case of Todd and Linda Stermer. Todd Stermer was born November 22nd, 1964, in your favorite place, Christine, Kalamazoo, Michigan, to parents Helmer and Sandra Stermer. He met Linda Pierce in 1989, and the two immediately clicked. Both were 25 when they began to date. Linda was in the middle of a divorce and had two daughters, Brittany and Ashley, that Todd accepted and would eventually raise as his own. Prior to their marriage on August 7th, 1993, Linda would give birth to their two sons, Trevor and Trenton. Later, they would adopt Linda's nephew, Corey Pierce, to save him from a neglectful situation with his birth family. Linda obtained work at a dialysis company, and Todd started a glove-making business. The pair seemed to be the perfect family, and in his spare time, Todd coached various sports his kids participated in. He was an involved and supportive parent. Both were well-loved and respected in the small Van Buren County town. Their dream was to custom build a new home, and that's what they were working on. Linda was able to indulge in her hobby horses as they had enough land to keep them. To outsiders, they were living the American dream. Behind the scenes, things were different. Money was tight. They had owned a home in Portage that burned down, and although never charged, it was suspected Todd had committed arson on the property for the insurance money. Another home in Three Rivers would also burn in a suspicious fire. Nobody was charged in that fire either.
Was he getting the insurance money? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I gotta ask. Was he a successful arsonist?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. All right. That's how he's making a living. Okay.
Right. Because, how many gloves can you really sell?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's okay. The couple, while presenting a loving front, fought constantly behind the scenes about money. While they were both working, bills were still not getting paid. Todd had borrowed tens of thousands of dollars from his mother and other family members just to keep them afloat. Later, Brittany and Ashley would say that Todd had a temper and abused them and their mother. Linda made accusations of black eyes being given and flowers being sent later as an apology. The three sons would say they never saw any of this. Friends say they never saw any marks on Linda, but that she often talked about killing Todd, various ways to do that, and how he had, air quotes here, had to go. The general consensus seemed to be that Todd was well-loved, loved his kids, and if anything, Linda was over the marriage and just wanted Todd to go away. Linda's horses were becoming a huge drain on the family finances. On average, it can cost between $8,600 to $26,000 per year to care for just one horse. And you know about that.
Yeah, that's a low. That is a low ballpark. That's what I want to tell you.
You're like, that's a bunch of horse shit.
That's what I get. That's maybe, that 8,000 might be a month.
Oh, dear God.
But whatevs.
Right.
Go on.
Labor of love. All right. Now, this price includes feeds, farriers, which are, people who put the horseshoes on and trim the hoofs and all that, vet fees, and miscellaneous supplies like saddles, tacks, fly spray, and other miscellaneous items. If you board the horse, it will be on the higher end of that range. Now, the horses were on their own property, so they didn't have that fee. But Linda had, get this, 31 horses. 31.
Good Lord.
Could you imagine?
That's why they were burning houses down.
Exactly.
Just saying.
I know. Oh, my goodness. All right, the couple fought constantly over the horses, as you can imagine. And Linda had taken out a $25,000 line of credit to keep up on the cost of their care. Between the cost of the horses and the cost of 5 kids, even with both of them working, that money just wasn't enough. Then in 2006, Linda met Chris Williams. He was a truck driver that frequented her place of employment. She had started a new job working at a trucking company. The two became friendly, and Linda told him she was getting a divorce. Well, Chris was upfront and told her that he wasn't interested in married women and to contact him when the divorce was finalized. But she didn't listen, and he eventually broke down. A mutual coworker had given Linda his phone number, and she began calling him constantly. Soon, she was riding in his truck with him. They started going on dates. Now, Chris lived in Kalamazoo, roughly 30 miles away, and Linda would come to his house for sex a few times a week. The Friday before the fire, when Linda came to his house, she was madder than he had ever seen her. In order to pay some bills, Todd had sold one of their vehicles without her permission. Chris would testify that she was furious over the sale. Chris would also testify that Linda took him to see the burned remains of the house. The two would continue their relationship for 2 months after Todd died. An attorney would then tell them to split. Todd eventually found out about the affair, And the fights became about more than just money. The night before the fire, the two had their biggest fight yet, with the word divorce being yelled, but the argument was put on hold to resume on Sunday morning. Linda would tell investigators that the morning she and Todd had a fight over the fact she had forgotten to enter some checks into their checkbook. She then went and purchased some gas for her Chevy Blazer and breakfast. Coming home, she sent the boys out of the house and took a nap. When she woke, she gave Todd some medication for an ear infection he had, then went down to the basement to do some laundry. Todd sat in a chair in the living room to watch some TV. Todd had left some rags covered in gas that she needed to wash. While she was in the basement starting the laundry, she heard Todd start to scream, and when she looked up the stairs, she saw smoke. Reaching the top of the stairs, she couldn't get to Todd, who was ablaze, so she ran outside to the van to drive and get help. Due to the smoke and flames, she couldn't reach the house phone. She couldn't find her cell phone. Because it was winter, the ground was wet and slushy, and the van was hard to control and slipped all over the driveway. As she tried to pull out of the yard to drive to get help, a burning Todd stumbled out of the house and began to try to remove his clothes. She jumped from the van, yelling at Todd to lay in the snow on the frozen ground. She couldn't knock him to the ground as he was burning too badly. She realized she needed emergency services now, so she got back into the van. She couldn't see exactly where Todd was. By this time, the van was stuck, so flooring it in an attempt to get it unstuck, she accidentally hit and ran over Todd. Then the neighbors arrived with a cell phone and called for help. What the hell? Can you believe that story?
That is a little bit sus. That's a lot of running back and forth, getting out of the house, getting back to Todd, getting in the van. It seems like she burnt him up, set him ablaze, and then was going to try to run, and he was a man on fire, enraged, coming after her. And then she had to run him over with the car to stop him from trying to kill her with him.
Right.
That's what it sounds like to me. But go on.
I know. She's like, damn it, that should have worked the fire. Now you got to run him over.
Yeah. Stupid.
Unreal.
But, pretty good balancing it, making it sound possibly, plausibly possible. That's it.
All right. However, the more investigators dug, the more the scene didn't fit Linda's story. They found gas cans scattered around the house. An interview with a clerk at the gas station said it appeared Linda was filling something in the back of her Blazer that wasn't her tank. She only bought $11 worth of gas and other items. Linda would claim she didn't need that much gas. They interviewed Linda's friend Kate Fox. Kate and Linda had carpooled together to work in 2006, and Linda often told Kate how unhappy she was in her marriage. According to Kate, Linda spoke of abuse and told her that she had contacted a divorce attorney, and also spoke of how she wanted to run Todd over with her car. She said Linda often spoke of different ways to kill Todd. Although the house was destroyed, Kate said Linda asked her to borrow a flashlight a few days after the fire so she could search for a coffee cup in the rubble that she was afraid police would find traces of sedatives in. But here's the thing, Linda's story would change depending on who she was talking to. In one story, she said she sent the boys to the mall. In another, the movies. In one story, she said she went to the gas station and she just bought milk. In another, milk and to top off her tank. Her sons were also suspicious of their mother. Todd was very physically fit. how had he not escaped from the first floor of the house and Linda managed to escape from the basement? How did she not see his smoldering body on the ground when she accidentally ran him over? One time, she would tell them she went out the front door. The next time, she would say the back door. She denied having an affair and would claim that Todd was the one cheating, which, by the way, there was never any evidence presented to back up that claim. But Linda, well, her story, that was always changing. Dr. Markey would perform an autopsy on the remains of Todd. He would declare that Todd had died from burning and blunt force injuries consistent with being hit on the head or run over with a vehicle. He had broken ribs and 4 lacerations on his head. Traces of Vicodin were found in his urine, but no other drugs, prescription or otherwise, were found in his blood. Detective Sergeant Scott Leroy investigated the fire and determined it was arson. The main part of the house where the fire had been was destroyed by the flames, but the burning was concentrated on one main area, the chair where Todd had been resting. Testing on the rags taken from the remains of the washing machine tested positive for gas. Todd's clothes tested positive for gas, but Linda's did not. On June 5th, 2009, Linda was arrested for the murder of Todd Stermer. At the trial, Stephen Leach, Lawrence Township's fire chief and first on the scene, testified that when he pulled up, he could tell it was a fast-moving fire. Now, a fast-moving fire suggests an accelerant was used to start the fire. Dardita Gordon was in jail with Linda. As she testified that Linda told her she drugged Todd, then hit him over the head while he slept in the chair, then doused him with gasoline and set him on fire. It would come out in cross-examination that Dardita had memory issues due to her bipolar diagnosis. When cross-examined on the witness stand, Kate Fox would state that Linda had borrowed $5,000 from her and had not repaid it. Linda's defense would call on Kate's brother, who testified his sister was vindictive and not above lying if she was not the center of attention. Detective Scott Leroy of the Michigan State Police Fire Investigations Unit testified as an expert witness in the causes of fires. His conclusion was that the fire started in the living room and was deliberate. However, sniffer dogs detected no trace of accelerant. However, not much of the living room remained for them to sniff either. During the trial, when interviewed, her 2 daughters defended her and reiterated their claims of abuse. The 3 boys maintained their position that the abuse never happened and that their mother killed their father. Trevor testified that his mother told him and his brothers to lie to investigators and that Linda told him to silence Trenton if he refused to lie. What the hell does that mean? Kill your own brother?
Apparently.
What the hell? This lady's lost her total mind. They said they were told to downplay the fight, deny talk of any divorce, and claim they believed the chimney caught fire. The daughters, now, they never testified. Due to the fact that 2 other homes Todd had owned burned and they needed money again, the defense would state there were candles and oil lamps in the living room and that Todd may have started the fire by lighting them. Todd's mother would testify to the different stories she was told by Linda. On February 8, 2010, Linda was convicted of felony murder and sentenced to life in prison. She would appeal this decision, in part claiming reasonable doubt was raised, but not taken into consideration, and the guilty verdict was in contradiction to the weight of the evidence. She would also claim ineffective counsel. 12 years after the fire and 10 years after her conviction, Linda was freaking set free to await a new trial. Now, who the hell knew? What? Wait a minute. Is that normal? They would set someone free convicted of murder while she waited for a new trial? That seems odd.
That does seem odd, but I think it may be a thing. But that is odd. So, okay. So
yeah.
Did she run away?
All right. So while awaiting her new trial, Linda went out and got herself married a third time to a man named Arthur Brain. Oh, she must have had a unicorn, is all I can say. Her second trial started March 27th, 2025. In this trial, Todd's mother would testify. Linda gave 3 different stories about the fire and how she escaped. Neighbor Kim Thompson would testify that she noticed blood on the van and that Linda told her she had given Todd Benadryl and also that he was asleep when the house caught fire. And in yet another version, that Todd was smoking weed and caught the house on fire and that she noticed the smoke and ran from the house. Trenton, her son, testified that when he questioned his mother about the fire, she gave him different versions of what had happened. She had punched him, giving him a bloody nose for questioning her. Another time, while in the car, she beat him when he questioned her. Now, keep in mind that at the time of the fire, the boys were teenagers. Trevor would back Trenton up. When Trevor took the stand, he was asked who Linda Stermer was, and he replied, "She was my mother." All 3 boys no longer call her mom. They only call her Linda. It was common practice to kiss both parents goodbye and say, "I love you," whenever they left the house. Heartbreakingly, all 3 boys would testify that she never let them say goodbye to their father when they left the house that cold January morning of 2007. The last time they saw their father, they saw him either sleeping or already drugged in his chair as their mother blocked their way from going to say goodbye. Her daughters, although they did not testify at this trial either, still claim that their mother was innocent. The children had picked sides and no longer have a relationship with one another. The defense called an arson investigator, Robert Trenkle. Trenkle would dispute the testimony of the state police investigator, Scott Leroy. He believed the fire started from the fireplace. However, Amy Darling from the medical examiner's office testified that Todd smelled overwhelmingly of gas, supporting Leroy's theory that Todd was drenched in gas then set on fire. Police investigators would also testify that Todd's blood was found on the front and bottom of the van, and they didn't believe his being run over was an accident. A jury of 7 men and 5 women found Linda guilty of premeditated murder, which, as we all know, is first degree. She was immediately arrested and taken back to jail. On May 19th of 2025, Linda was sentenced to life without parole. She is serving her time at the Huron Valley Correctional Center and goes by number 757152. Now, I know what you're thinking, Christine. What about all the horses, right?
Well, I guess, but I'm assuming that they were taken by the state and everybody got some cheap horses.
I guess so.
I guess I'm really worried about that because they're big animals. Somebody's going to take them. They're going to do something with them. And they probably even made a lot of money selling them.
Yeah. Nobody knows what happened to the horses because there just isn't anything documented out there about what happened to the horses. So, I don't know. This woman is crazy. And maybe she was the one who was setting these houses on fire to get money to take care of these horses. She sounds like she would do anything to get the money she needed.
Yeah, maybe. Was a little bit of a loon. Just for the fact that she was an animal hoarder. 31 horses is ridiculous for any one person to have.
I know.
You can't put your ass on more than one horse at a time. So, I don't know. There's a whole saying to all that.
Yeah. It's worse than a cat lady, I'm thinking.
Yeah, definitely.
Big time. Big time. Absolutely
Yeah.
bonkers.
She had a lot of problems, this woman.
Yes, she did. So if you or anybody you know are a victim of domestic violence, there is help. If you are a victim, call 1-800-799-SAFE or 1-800-799-7233. You can go to www.thehotline.org for online help and resources. Help is available in multiple languages. If you cannot risk a phone call or going online, text START to 88788. And if you are in immediate danger, call 911. If you choose the online option, be sure to clear your browser afterwards. All contact is confidential, and this number is for men and women. Now, I'm also going to place another website in the show notes if anybody needs help leaving a domestic violence situation.
I really don't know if this was domestic abuse or if this was two toxic people that should have just not had 5 kids and kept burning down houses together. Like, I don't know. The domestic abuse string to this story is not resonating completely with me. I think it's really 2 loons, 2 crazy people that should have stayed far away from each other.
Well, I kind of think it was just she was the loon. You know, I think this guy loved her. Now, she had 2 kids from a previous marriage, and I almost wonder if Linda had killed their dad. Like, I don't know what the hell happened to their dad, but why is it that, you know, they're doing whatever mom says? Like, they've already been through this before. Whatever she says, because mom's fucking crazy, right? Because she would beat the kids.
Yeah, she was definitely the loose peg here.
Mm-hmm.
That guy had to die, obviously. Nobody should have to die in these situations. But it does seem to me that this is more a toxic tail relationship.
This chick liked to keep getting new husbands. How did she get out of prison and get a husband that quick? Boom.
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing. We're going to go back to talking about prison wives and prison husbands now, because that's a thing. So
True.
Even if she stayed in, she could have found another husband. There's a lid for every pot, amazingly enough, no matter what situation you're in.
A lid for every pot. I've never heard that one.
What?
I've never heard that before.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God, yeah, there's a lid for every pot.
I love it. I'm going to use that from now on. I used to just say there's always someone for everyone out there, but a lid for every pot?
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. I have such a great visual now. All right. Well, thank you everyone for spending time with us today. We appreciate your support. If you found today's story interesting, please give us a like, subscribe, and a share if you are listening to us on YouTube. If your other platform supports ratings, please give us a rating. Do you think that Linda was guilty or just had a morning full of really bad luck, as she told one interviewer? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. So thank you everyone. As always, we appreciate you, and we will see you back on Wednesday for Round Robin. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.